Hello, Maggie here, and welcome to my channel. Welcome to my kitchen. Today I thought I'd start a new series that I'm calling Variations on a Theme. This new series is all about taking one dish, usually something pretty basic that we all eat all the time as like a survival food, but fancying it up a bit and making it something that feels like a whole meal and doesn't make you feel like crap after eating it. Today we're doctoring up ramen. Today I'm going to make ramen two different ways, and then probably later this week or next week I'll make one or two more. And they'll all be very different, but they'll all feel like whole meals and have completely different flavors, because I know personally I eat a lot of ramen and I get really sick and tired of the exact same thing every time. So I change it up most of the times that I eat it. There are some that I always return to, and I'll show you that one next week, my most basic ramen recipe. So let's make some variations. We're gonna start with the chicken ramen. Start the way you would any normal ramen. Boiling water. Alright, now we've got some bubbles on the bottom of the pot and it's starting to boil. We'll add most of our ingredients. Alright, let's add the packet of ramen. I have leftover shredded chicken from dinner a few nights ago. And I found this riced cauliflower. And we'll add our seasoning packet. And then for a bit of a kick, I found Tabasco Sriracha. So we'll add a little bit of that. And that's it. And there was variation number one. Super quick and easy. You can use any leftover meat you have. I like to keep some shredded chicken in the fridge. It's super easy to make. I'll show you how I do that as well in this video. And it took about less than 5 minutes to put this whole thing together. Let's give it a taste. The sriracha is delicious. You don't really taste the cauliflower much, but you're getting some veggies in there. Lots of chicken, so it's going to be really wholesome. Oh, it's delicious. And once again, we just wait for the water to boil and then chuck everything in all at once. Ramen noodles, peanut butter, and that'll just melt in there with everything else. Unless you smeared all over the side. Woo! The peanut butter bubbles up really fast, so make sure you turn the heat down when you add peanut butter. Add in the seasoning packet, a little ginger, a little garlic, and then once those noodles can come apart, like so, make sure everything's mixed in properly. And now we add our egg. Once the egg's in there, I like to add a lid. And you want the white to be cooked, but the yolk to still be runny. Because then you can break the yolk, and it makes the broth really creamy and delicious. If I can't find my lid, sometimes I'll just bury my egg in the noodles themselves, and that does the same job. And this is a nice time for a sitting break. Always take as many sitting breaks when cooking as you can. You can see the white turning a bit translucent now. All right, that looks to be cooked. Beautiful. And as soon as it's off the heat, you can take it and break up that egg so that the yolk mixes in with the broth and makes it really creamy and delicious. And now for the taste test. There we go. It was absolutely delicious. The peanut butter and the beef broth make basically like a peanut sauce in there. And then the egg, you get the yummy egg whites, but also the egg yolk makes it extra creamy and delicious. And that ginger garlic just gives it a bit of a spiced taste. Not spicy, but spiced, and it's delicious. Next up, I'm going to show you how I make a big batch of shredded chicken that I like to keep in the house for the week. It makes really easy dinners. And I'll also be making ramen eggs, which I've never actually made before, but they sound delicious and would be really useful to have in the house, either to throw on some ramen or just to have a snack. So I'll see you then. Let's make some shredded chicken. My personal favorite way of making shredded chicken is using the Instant Pot, because I don't have to remember to thaw the chicken the night before. I can just put it in frozen, add a little bit of water. This time I seasoned it with some seasoning salt, some garlic powder, and some H2P or herbes de Provence. And then I cook it for about 12 minutes for a single chicken breast. For every additional breast, I just add another minute. And it always comes out perfectly tender. And once it's done, I just take it and put it into my stand mixer. A hand mixer would also work perfectly fine. And you turn it on and it shreds it perfectly for you every time. I just shredded it on low for about 20 seconds and it came out perfect, and I can just store it in the fridge and use it as needed. Now let's make some ramen eggs. This is actually something I've been wanting to try for a while, but I had never made it before. So my recipe isn't perfect yet, but here's how I did it. First, I medium boiled some eggs. I did about a 7-minute egg. I could have gone for 6 minutes, and I think they would have been a little better. And then once they're boiled, I dump them in cold water. You should do an ice bath, but I never keep ice in the house. So I just keep the cold water running, and it usually works perfectly fine for me. Once the eggs were peeled, I put them in a container in the fridge, and I started up on my marinade. In a small pot, I combined some brown sugar, some soy sauce, some sriracha, and a bit of water, because you need enough marinade to cover the eggs. And I just heated it on the stove long enough that the brown sugar would dissolve into the marinade. And then I poured that over the eggs, and then I added just enough water to completely submerge the eggs. And I left that in the fridge, and a couple days later they were perfect. And now we come to our final ramen recipe. This is the one I make the most often because I always keep sweet chili sauce and American cheese in the house, and so it comes together really quickly and easily. And I usually do a poached egg like I did in the peanut butter beef ramen recipe, but this time I made those ramen eggs, so I thought I'd try them out. It turns out great. The sweet chili sauce adds a nice kick, and the American cheese makes it really creamy and delicious. And the eggs add some good protein, and with the ramen eggs, they added some great flavor. I hope you liked those recipes. A note on the chicken, if you don't have an Instant Pot, you can just throw it in the oven at 450 degrees for about 20 minutes. I would poke it with a thermometer and make sure it gets to at least 165 to make sure it's safe. And if you don't have a thermometer, you can just cut it in half and make sure it's not pink in the middle, and you're good to go. The reason I like the Instant Pot is that it always comes out really tender and juicy, but the oven works just as well. Also, just use whatever seasoning you have in the house. If you only have Italian seasoning, salt and pepper, use that. That's delicious. If you don't have a stand mixer or even a hand mixer, I highly recommend getting a hand mixer. They're so useful and they really save my shoulders when I'm cooking. But if you can't get it, 2 forks, use those, stab them into the chicken, pull them apart. Do that a bunch of times and you'll get the same results. It'll take a little longer and take a little more effort, but it still works just as well. The eggs mostly just tasted like soy sauce, so I'm gonna work on the recipe for the marinade a bit. It was still absolutely delicious, but I personally would like some more flavor and slightly more complex flavor. They were still really good, and I ate the rest for breakfasts. If you'd like to see an updated version of the marinade, I'll probably post it on Instagram sometime soon, so follow me. I'm Maggie the Spoonie there as well. But I hope you liked those recipes. If you try any of them, please let me know down below what you thought of them. And remember, you are not a burden. You are worthy of love and respect. I love you so much. Bye-bye.